L'Shana Tova. How many of you have ever been to the Grand Canyon? It's a breathtaking sight. A sight of color, grandeur, and nature. And the beauty was only increased for me when I backpacked the Grand Canyon several years ago at the start of a sabbatical. It was one of the most physically and mentally challenging things I had ever done in my life. We hiked from the rim to the river and back on the Hermit Trail, an unimproved trail. Now I have to tell you, the descent was tough. If I had been a mountain goat carrying my 35-pound pack, I would have been all set. But I wasn't, and I worried what would happen if I fell down. Would I be able to stand up again? It was a hard, long day of hiking. The second day was certainly much easier. It was a day hike from our campsite to the river and back. But I really believe the return to the rim was more challenging than the hike into the canyon. You see, it was physically and mentally demanding. So as you start out, you look up and you see these sheer walls and a small winding path to the top. It was truly mind over matter. In those moments of physical struggle, I wondered if really I would have needed to find a new rabbinic job in the bottom of the canyon. That's how difficult it was. And I wondered if I'd make it to the top. Well, as you can see, I did return to the top, to the rim. And as I reflect on those few short days, I realized that I had changed. I could do more than I ever thought possible. I learned that the more willingness I had to try something new and challenging, the willingness to take a risk to reach outside of my comfort zone, the more I grew as a person. It reminds me of a story told by Stephen Goodyear, a Methodist minister and columnist. He tells the story of a particular potted plant which was with them for over 30 years. It had accompanied them through good times and bad. It had moved with them through 6 different communities and through life's journeys. And after about 20 years, the plant began to sag and to discolor. They watered it, they fed it, they cuddled it, they even talked to it. But leaves and branches drooped lower each day as its life slowly ebbed away. They finally plucked a few half-dead leaves, rerouted them in a jar of water, and planted them in a small pot, and the new small plant grew strong and healthy. But the original finally died. And when they dug it out of its ceramic pot, they could see why. Its roots were a tangle of knots. The roots had grown so massive, they threatened to burst the sides of the pot that held them in. Their once beautiful plant died because it outgrew its environment. It became root-bound. So often, people reach a point in their lives that they become just like the plant. They are committed to growth and change. They work hard to make the right choices, the kinds of choices which lead them to greater and greater fulfillment and happiness, but then they realize they have no place to go because the pot's not large enough, and they begin to wither on the vine. I've met people in my life that have accepted jobs with great salaries and been very unhappy. I've also met people who have lower salaries but are as happy as can be. Goodyear shares the story of a man who was offered a job with a salary that was higher than he had ever known in his life. But after careful consideration, he declined the job. His would-be employer was amazed and asked him, "Why are you turning down this offer? What's the matter? Isn't the salary big enough?" "The salary is fine," the man said. "It's the job. It's not big enough." At one time, this man could have happily done the work and enjoyed the money, but he now realized that the job would not challenge him, and he'd eventually become dissatisfied, and he would feel root-bound. The problem was that he had changed. He had outgrown the job that he was offered. People interested in change and personal development need larger and larger environments in which to live. Their views expand. Their perspective broadens. Their interests change. They seek bigger challenges. And they need people in their lives who will make room for their growth. At times, many of us discover that we are root-bound, unable to change, and so we accept our lot in life. As Bob Dylan sings, "He not busy being born is busy dying." Stephen Goodyear's plant was busy dying. So often we are busy dying instead of busy being born. Beginning tonight, Erev Rosh Hashanah, we have an opportunity to examine and to expand our lives. We have the opportunity to get busy being born. As Ashrei teaches us, Potech et yadecha umaspir l'chol chai ratzon. You open your hand and satisfy the needs of all the living. Now, we usually interpret this verse to mean that God opens God's hands and gives us what we need to meet our needs. The image of opening hands is found in other places, reminding us that we open the hand to the needy, reminding us that we share our blessings with others. But I think there's another meaning to this verse. I believe this verse also means that we have to open our hands and ourselves to the possibilities of what may happen in life. Everyone close your hands. Do this. Close your hands. Nothing can enter it. Meanwhile, all that may have been in it flows out because there's no longer any place. However, if you open your hands and cup them together, you can hold on to something. You can drink water from them, and you can receive the gifts of life. The Yamim Nara'im is a time for us to open our hands, perhaps cup them together and receive the gifts this time has to offer us. As we do so, the Yamim Nara'im, the high holidays, become a time to help us grow and expand the possibilities of growth in our lives. The possibility of gaining more satisfaction and more contentment as we continue on our journey through this world. As I look forward to 5776, I can see now that our world is filled with so many challenges, so many problems, and so much helplessness. My prayer and my hope is that we open our hands to the possibilities. Perhaps we will find a larger pot and we will become less root-bound. Perhaps we will be less resigned to dying and more invigorated to be busy being born, to expand, to grow. If we can, we hope that 5776 will be a year of change, growth, and contentment to all. All we need to do is potech et yadecha, open our hands and open our hearts to the possibilities. L'shana Tova.